Hi guys, and welcome to today's lesson. So we're going to be doing more digital into the end of this term. We're going to be working on a landscape again. So we've done a few landscapes the previous couple of sessions. This time we're going to be working from a kind of dusky lighthouse scene with this nice road leading into it. So first thing I want to do, similar to last week, we're going to kind of try to pick an average colour to sort of start as the basis for our background, because we've got this, the path, the sky is all around this kind of mixture of kind of mauvey, blue, kind of moving towards purple sorts of colours. So we're going to grab a paintbrush, make a new layer, which I'll do it as a background colour. I'll just drag it up. Paint it into this new layer below here. And I'll just paint it like this. So that's our kind of average colour that we're going to be working with. So in this second layer, I'm going to then take a kind of warm brownish colour, and we're going to be using our peppermint and just starting to sort of loosely sketch in these shapes that we're seeing. So we've got this kind of sloping shape there. Then at the very top, I'm going to just kind of go a little bit heavier because we've got this sort of darker tree line. A little bit of trees showing through on that side as well. And at about that point, I'm just going to really fuzzily put in the approximate size I'm going to do my lighthouse. And I don't have to do exactly the same size, just sort of similar. And then up here we've also got the moon. It's got these kind of nice glowing elements in the scene, which is sort of what drew me to it, I think. So that's all looking pretty good. I'm going to get a darker colour and move to a Procreate pencil and just go in and kind of be a little bit more specific with my shapes. So we've got, that's a kind of pretty big element, that clump of trees. Kind of raise a little bit where I was kind of maybe went a bit too far to the right. And then the other little trees that we see on that side, get them in as well. And yeah, that's looking all right. So emerging from just underneath this foresty sort of shape, we've got our first bend. just starting to kind of describe some of these little kind of warmer tufty grass colours that we've got. And yeah, you can see that's not a bad approximation of the scene. Fairly happy with that. So put the lighthouse in. I'm going to make its taper a little bit more extreme. And then we've got its banding that we can get in as well. Yeah, and that's looking pretty nice. So the next thing I want to do is start to lay some colour over. And we're going to do that on a separate layer. And I'm going to start with, so this is our sort of base colour for the sky, but the lower part of the sky goes a little bit kind of cool grayer, I would say. Just a touch. So if we get a brush for painting. It's maybe a bit greenish, so let's move more in the kind of purpley direction. Yeah, that feels a bit better. So then as that blends up, it goes more kind of orangey warm. It's maybe a bit extreme. Maybe a little bit light. So I'm trying to get this section, we're trying to get the kind of blend from the purple colour towards more of a blue. Let's let that spill a little bit across the lighthouse. And as we go up, a little bit more kind of towards kind of grey, yellowy colour. Make my brush a little bit bigger actually. And the higher up it gets, moving more towards, again, back into that kind of bluish colour. That's not right. And so what we're exploring is just kind of like the right kind of layering sort of feel of these colours. Like, is it too grey or is it too light? Like, that's too light, so let's put a little bit darker. How do they kind of like blend into each other? You notice I did a lot of it kind of trying to mix off the colour pickers. rather than necessarily just sort of picking the colour I had on the palette, on the painting itself, which is a faster, easy way to do it, but this is a good, sort of like little good exercise. And that's looking better. So if I smudge that, use a bigger smudging brush, create a little bit, just a softer gradient, maybe blend a little bit, or maybe not up and down so much. Yeah, that's not too bad. Not perfect, but it's not too bad. And then, next thing I'm going to do is get the road colour in. So the road isn't far off. It's probably close to like this kind of sky colour. It's the nearest thing that I've got kind of sitting on the palette. Yeah, that's looking pretty good at that point. As it starts to travel further down, it sort of dims out a bit. Maybe a little bit of a darker kind of bluish quality right down the bottom of the road. Yeah, and that gradient's not looking too bad. Probably this is maybe a little bit light. Could do with being a little bit more kind of pinkish. Maybe a bit more yellowish. So yeah, this is what you're sort of exploring. And probably a bit more grey than that, to be honest. So a little bit of a shadow kind of coming in from the edge of the road here. Yeah, it's not feeling too bad. So now I'm going to drop into more of like the dark kind of woody, foresty green. Colours in the foreground here. And as it makes its way back up higher, it's then going to move into more of these kind of golden colours. Yeah, it's not too bad. Can kind of blend that down a little bit. a little bit smaller the brush. Then use some shapes a little bit more kind of vertical. And a little bit darker. As well. Here and there, but doing it fairly loosely because the whole point is it's a loose study of the scene. It's not meant to be super detailed. Mostly we're sort of just trying to explore the colours and so on, and yeah, it's doing an alright job of that. So if I go back to my more goldeny colour, got this grass that's sticking up, and that can go a little bit lighter. We'll get some of these other tufts in here and there. Yeah, and that's not too bad. I'm going to add another layer and do sort of like a black glaze. I'm going to get a big brush, and I just want to darken a little bit the foreground further, so I'm just going to lay some black down in here. So I was painting, I'd still be doing this with black, same sort of thing. It's just a good way to kind of build depth. Yeah, that's a little bit better. And then I'm going to take a slightly smaller brush, more of kind of like an inky purple, quite an intense purpley sort of colour. And let's make the tree line a little bit darker up along here. A bit more irregular as well. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. So now if I take pure white, I can get my little moon shape in. A little bit of a smudge around it. And then paint the center of it in again. That gives us our bright glow. Then if I do a slightly more yellowy version of that, we can do our lighthouse, maybe even a little bit more intense. Again, a bit of smudge, and then back to the main colour. And yeah, you can see that gives a nice glow for the lighthouse. Then we'll just get our deep red in. Okay, my banding's going to be a little bit different than the original, but that's fine. So that's our deep red at the edge of the form. And then just a slightly brighter red in the center. It's going to make it feel like it's got a little bit of a wrap. And finally, more of like a grey. So that's our white. And then, again, a little bit of a center to that, giving a little bit of body. So if we zoom back out, you see that reads a bit nicer. and just a touch of red above the sort of cap of the lighthouse, and then I'm going to take again some black and just very faintly just embellish the edge to make it feel more like it's turning that form. Maybe a little bit darker at the bottom as well. Just paint over that a little bit, and a few bits that spill over. And yeah, that's it. That's the sketch finished. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this session and the other bits and pieces in this series. Next week I'm going to be doing what might be my last digital thing for a little while, but we'll be coming back to it soon, which is the last session in the term. And yeah, so have a crack at something like this yourself, either from life or from a reference. And if you have any questions about my demonstration or anything that you do when you try it out yourself, just leave a comment below. As always, you can subscribe if you want to keep up to date with more videos from myself, other tutors and students from the school. And if you want to see the paid qualifications we offer, you can click the link through in the description. But yeah, that's it for today, and I will see you guys soon.